Hi and welcome to another episode of Degen BJJ with me, Irish Mike.
And me, Ken.
Hi Ken, what you reckon about our trip to the motherland? You were just over in Ireland in Killarney with us. What did you think?
Yeah, so you and Linda took me and my missus over to see some of the Irish culture and experience your homeland in Killarney. Yeah, it was quality. We had a fantastic time. The funny thing is, loads of people since I've been back have been like, "Oh, so you survived? Oh, you survived?" Like, I think people were genuinely worried for my safety going away with you, mate. So I don't know whether that
they always go to Dublin, I think, and you know what I mean. I'm always telling you, Dublin's a shithole. Sorry, all Irish listeners that are listening, but like, I didn't make your fucking county, like, you know what I mean. And there's also a reason I didn't take it to my town. You know what I mean. So we won't talk bad about Tiptown because Tiptown is the best town.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're saying that says more about their opinion on Ireland or their opinion on us too, though. Whether they think we're that big liabilities that we just go over there and get ourselves into trouble. But no, we escaped unscathed and back at training last night. So that was good to get back on the mats and sweat out some of the many pints of Guinness that were consumed.
I think on that I'd like to make a public apology on the podcast. I sent a personal video onto the Instagram story that was sent in a WhatsApp to Squish. So Squish, I'm really sorry, and the listeners can be comfortable in knowing that Squish is he's probably what you call model material, and he's ruggedness, and I got my medicine last night, so there'll be a little bit piped down over that.
I couldn't believe when I saw that was on the story. We both thought it had been sent as a message. So yeah, apologies to anyone that witnessed that.
Yeah.
Drunken rambling of the two of us, but it was all in good humour. So I hope the forgiveness is given. I know we said that Tommy Lucas was going to come on. We're going to
we're going to pick it up again and down the line. Yeah,
talk about loyalty, and he's being a true Creonche and training at Checkmat in London tonight. So isn't available to pick that one up. But like you say, we'll get him on down the line and we'll pick that one up then. So this might be a bit of a shorter episode, as it's one we've kind of thrown together on a Thursday evening. But we wanted to get some content out there for you guys, as we know a few of you eagerly await the Degen BJJ Podcast drop on a Friday.
Friday I actually
morning.
got a lot of good comments about people saying they like it on a Friday. There's a couple of lads at work, actually, I haven't shouted them out yet, and I mean, like, they've nothing to do. One's an electrician, one's a chippy, one's an English fella, one's an Irish fella, and like, they've nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. I'd say don't give two flying F's about it, like, do you know what I mean? And they always say, "Oh, I'm actually looking forward every Friday to listen to it," and you know, I appreciate that, so shout out to the two boys, like.
I love that, man.
And Richard, you're an absolute bollocks as well, but just moving on.
And shout out to the usual lot that keep engaging. It's been
guys.
Really fun hearing the feedback. So throwing it back to the previous episode, we were talking about hygiene, and I wanted to loop back round on that actually, and there was a story I meant to tell with which kind of links into the travelling. So I thought I'd pick that up today, and that's to do with carrying a gi in the backpack. We talked about how I had to have jettison some clothes to have the gi at the bottom, but the thing you don't think about is washing it, because as we say, you got to wash your gi after every training session. But
you're going to say that was you? Were you following the law of Paddy back then?
Unfortunately not. I ended up having to hand wash it and stuff like that. So there were sometimes you couldn't really. A lot of the dry cleaners would have like a 24-hour turnaround, and if you wanted to train the next morning, or you were moving on to another town the next morning or whatever, you had to get it washed. So sometimes I'd be like taking the showers in the hostels up, hand washing this gi, and everyone thought I was an absolute lunatic. But I'm sure
something's better than nothing, though. Like, you know what I mean.
I'm sure the training partners appreciated it. A lot of the gyms in Brazil, they'd say if they gave me a loaner gi, they'd just be like, hang it inside out in the sun, and the UV kills the bacteria. So
Mythbusters kind of proved that one wrong.
Yeah, that is one for. I haven't actually fact checked the science on it, but I would say I never caught any ringworm. I went to a variety of gyms, as I've said, and I never caught any ringworm. I've caught ringworm more times in the UK than I have in my entire time in South America. So that
never at Madhouse.
That says something.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, put the disclaimer in there. But yeah. We're going to go on about the
just training styles.
Training.
How you'd be training with injuries, and maybe when you're banged up, and rolling with partners as well, that like sometimes you do get injured, you know what I mean? But like firstly we'll say like my ankle is fairly, well, it's iffy at the minute, isn't it? Like as I was saying earlier, I actually got one of them double cross straps that you recommended. You said Devon had used one on her ankle, and I trained with it last night, and even though through the day the ankle was a bit iffy, like they're actually fantastic thing, and they're only like $14.99 or something. You got two of them. They actually gave you two in a pack. When do they ever do that? Like, so I'd recommend if you have ankle issues to get one of those. It comes with a sock and then a strap that you wrap around your foot, and then it X crosses around the higher part of your leg over your ankle. But I trained last night and I'm a bit iffy today, but no worse than I was, like, so.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, I've obviously been training. I think that
you strap up your arm, don't you?
Yeah, since that comp a few months ago. But it kind of got to a point where it was fine. I got a full range of motion back, but it just gets a bit sore.
Still a bit niggly, like.
Still a bit niggly, and it just reminds me to just be careful with it and tap a bit earlier on that side as well. The arm brace is more to remind me to stop being a dickhead, really.
Trying to fight it. That's how I got injured in my arm that time, because you know, like you also have to learn how to escape, because when you get to a competition, like tapping, it's always saying tap early. You know what I mean? Like, I know, what is it? Tap fast, tap early, or what is that? There's something tap early, and there's like a saying, but or I don't know what.
I don't know the saying.
All right, okay. Well, maybe it's just something I made up in my own head. But like, you're better off tapping than getting injured. But like, you also need to have the awareness of how to get out of these positions. You know, so like, and I think maybe that's how I've probably caught myself. It's not my training partner's fault in those instances. It's mine, because I'm trying to fight this, get out of this arm bar where I'm trying to roll out, and you know, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, and maybe the times when you tap too late, it's not on your training partner's fault, because he's probably going, why isn't he tapping? Because most people don't jerk your arm, do they? They'll put it on the squeeze slowly and leverage slowly as they go.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about a good training partner is, you know, they're going to give you the room to work without breaking your arm, but in a comp you don't have that same
he's going
room to work, so you need to
try and take it off you.
Yeah, you need to practice it in the training room, otherwise you're going to just be tapping too early in a competition.
Tapping too early, you're going to have no experience to get out of it.
Waste 50 quid and not get your plastic medal, so
yeah.
It's going to be a sad,
we all need a plastic medal.
Sad day all round. Yeah, we all need that external validation, mate. Why do you think we're here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just another reason to get external validation.
But that's really just jiu-jitsu, I think, after 30, and probably you'll be able to attest to this soon, after 40.
Oh my God, you're going there already.
Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going to
throwing jabs.
Build up to it for the next year. But yeah, and I mean, like, we've got people that train with us. Steve, I'd love to actually get him on at some point. He's, you know,
I always say to him, "Oh, young man," like the Harry Enfield thing, because he's just a serious. He's more energy than a lot of people in the gym, even younger than us, and that are athletic, like.
Yeah, he's and yeah, like, you know, but the thing is that age, you know, at our age, it's a bit worse than the kids that are in their 20s, and then, you know, the guys that are in their 40s and 50s, it's a little bit worse. Those little injuries, they hang around a bit longer. I saw a joke or like a meme about, you know, in your 20s you get injured, whereas in your 40s and 50s you just have like chronic pain. You know, once you get a little knock, it's like, well, I guess that's it.
I have this now.
Yep, that elbow hurts now. That's just one of those things I've got to live with. But yeah, I think that's why we do the stuff outside. I know you're not a big proponent of it, but the stuff outside of
training your muscles and getting stronger, and you do kettlebells a lot in that as well.
Yeah,
it strengthens all your ligaments and all that. I can see it, like, it's just me making free time for that. Yeah. In my lifestyle and how I live, it doesn't.
So that and the yoga,
everything you do. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know,
all the hippie shit.
Yeah. Running up in Prospect Park, taking your shoes off and walking through the grass, you know what I mean?
Yeah, doing that grounding, mate.
Feel the sun in your eyes for 3 minutes. Andrew Huberman has a lot to answer for.
In my defence, that was the grounding was in Sydney, and I told you that in confidence. But no, that was in Sydney. If I did it in Prospect Park, I might step on.
I didn't actually know you did that. I was just taking the piss.
Found me out. Got me to admit it. Live on the podcast, but yeah, I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't recommend doing that in Prospect Park to anyone that lives locally. You might
stand on a syringe.
Yeah, you might pick something up. And
it won't be full of peds like the ones I used to have. Like, you're not going to get big and strong off it.
You might get something though.
But yeah, so rolling with rough training partners, like
speaking about being banged up.
Yeah,
like,
so rolling with rough training partners, like, I mean, what's been your experience? I mean, do you know, coming in as a white belt now? I mean, obviously you're training a lot longer than me, but how did you feel when you came in? Because obviously when you come in, you're new to it, and like blue belts kind of do their techniques on white belts. I mean, there's always the memes and the stories of the hard blue belts towards white belts. Now, I didn't really feel that so much. But like I was coming in yoked 96 kilos. I'm 86 now, like, just for the record, like, and like I was like, I had the strength, but no, well, I still don't have any of the clue, but you know, I could hold certain things off. And I think shout out to Bailey, because I don't know if I told this story last time I was talking about when I first started, but like I came in and Bailey was 16 at the time. Bailey's a high level purple belt in my opinion from our gym. He's moved since.
Yeah, he's at uni in London, so
yeah.
I think he trains in the holidays and stuff. But
that's it. He's still training inside in London, I think, in London Fight Zone maybe, or somewhere like that.
London Fight Factory.
Fight Factory, that's it.
One or two.
And he goes, "Hi, I'm Bailey," and like if you know Bailey, this is a perfect description of how Bailey talks. Hi, I'm Bailey," and he's like all positive and all that. And next thing, I just go, "Hi, I'm Mike," blah blah, blah. And he must have armbarred me about 3 times in like the space of a minute, and I'm like, "How's this 16-year-old young fella?" I'm 28 at the time. Like, I'm like, "How is this or not 28? 30 fucking whatever I was, 26,
yeah, 28.
And how is this young fella armbar?
28, mate. You look
yeah, that's it, yeah. But I goes, "Man, you're fair good at them armbars." He goes, "Yeah, I just really like armbars at the moment now." And it was like, so I just caught him, and he pulled guard or whatever, got me into his close guard, so I just held him. And like I was just holding him. I was like, "What the fuck do I do now?" Like, you know, because I have no clue. Like, this is like probably a month into fucking doing jiu-jitsu, and he's like, "You're gonna have to move soon, mate." And I'm like, "The fuck I am, like, you're just gonna armbar me again." So all I did was, I think I had one knee on the ground and one knee up off, and I just took my knee up off the ground, and whatever way I came off my balance, he just swung his leg around and he fucking armbarred me again. I was like, for fuck's sake, like. But he's not a bad training partner. I'm just saying, like,
that wasn't. That's not a rough roll, though.
That's not a rough roll. That's a good roll. Yeah.
I think there's a clear distinction that needs to be made between like tough rolls and rough rolls. You know, getting. But
I might have been using strength as being a white belt and giving
you might have been
I might have been the rough roll.
I think a lot of the time the rough roll doesn't realise they are the rough roll. I think some people kind of do, but I do think, like you say, when you're starting out, it's tough to really gauge you. And even as blue belts, I think it's tough to really gauge you how
strong you are,
how hard you're going. Sometimes, like, it's one of those where but you do need, like we were saying, with the letting your opponents work out or training partners work out of submissions. Like, you need for competitions those tough rolls.
I always think you need it. Like, there's a couple. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but I do think you need a couple of rough rolls. And there is certain people in the gym that I will roll, not like every session if I see them, but I'll always give them one. I'll always try and get one in a week, because I think if you know the rough roll, and like you are planning on competing, you need that. Like, you need something to have a bit of mental toughness for when you actually go into the competition, and like you're getting cross collars in an unbelievable way, or do you know what I mean, or that you're getting pushed in a certain way. You need that experience, because when you come into a competition and you feel it, you're going to go, "What the fuck is this like?" And you're probably just going to be weak-minded towards it. You know,
rabbit in headlights and get terrified. I'm still like that sometimes now, even with the tough rolls building up to it. But no, I completely agree, mate. And but there's a difference. A rough roll where you're with someone who's going to likely injure you. Those are the ones that you steer away from. You know, your good training partners. Like, I've got a couple of examples from when I was away. Like, I went in a little bit later on in the trip after Brazil. I ended up in Argentina.
All right. And shout out Argentina.
Shout out Argentina. The Argentinians aren't super fond of the British.
Okay, yeah, there's a Top Gear episode there, I think.
There's lots of countries that aren't that fond of the British, let's be honest. But Freddie, my old boss that I was talking about, he was Argentinian, and his bosses were Argentinian, and me and him got on.
This was the guy that ran the hostel at the time?
Ran the hostel, yeah. Okay. Me and him got on really well, but when he told his bosses he was giving me a job, he was like, "Tell him you're Irish." Like,
he told me that, yeah.
Because I have got Irish family, but I don't obviously sound Irish. I was born and bred in the UK, but he was like, "Tell him you're Irish," because
everybody loves the Irish.
They're more fond of the Irish than the English. So I'd kind of forgotten that when I was in Argentina, and the only gym near, like in reasonable, Buenos Aires is a massive city, so the only gym within reasonable distance was it was in a bit of a ghetto area, to be honest. It was like just off of the downtown area, but like before you got into the really like rough parts of the city, I wouldn't have wanted to been a gringo backpacker in.
Yeah.
It
you look
was
like a mark, like you're walking through it late at night. Like.
It was on the edge of that, and I went there, and it was one of those where you're turning up and you're sat on a wall outside, seeing if it's gonna open up. And I think it was like a hall with like it had a yin yang. It was like a martial arts hall, so it was like they rented a space. Different martial arts rented the space. So I think like I'd peered in, and there was like a kids taekwondo class going on. I was like, for fuck's sake, like what?
Fucking taekwondo,
is this what I'm here for? Like, I'm sure the schedule online was wrong, but I figure I'll sit on the wall outside and just chill for a bit. And the kids class like starts filtering out, and there are some lads with like gis, belts and gis like on push bikes that are pulling up, like of all ages. Some guys get out their cars, and I'm like, oh cool, there is jiu-jitsu. Bit of a weird vibe when I asked if I could train. The coach there was like an older Brazilian fella, and he was quite welcoming, but he didn't speak any English, only Portuguese and Spanish. So one of his students,
you're hitting him with the classic line.
Yeah, hit him with the classic couple of lines, but he didn't seem interested really. He got one of his students to translate for me, and we ended up like warming up, doing some technique, classic like standard, and then it was rolling for the last kind of 30 minutes. It was like I think an hour class, just a small bit of warm up technique, and then rolling. And I've had a lot of tough rounds. I was, like I say, when I first started training, every white belt goes through tough times. But I remember this one specifically. Like every single round I had, I must have tapped around 3 to 5 times.
Okay.
And it was against like all of their guys kind of it was like real rough rounds, like in a sense that like I came out of there feeling like I'd had a series of small car accidents. It wasn't like safe. I was getting like fucking I was getting absolutely ragdolled around, and the final round was with the coach, the black belt, and he walked with a kind of a limp. Like, look, if you saw him on the street, he was a smaller guy, probably 65 kilos, 70 kilos max.
Okay, yeah.
Smaller built, walked with like a bit of a limp. Sort of guy you wouldn't have looked at twice, right? And when he had his gi on, the way that obviously he could just use his body and was so used to being connected to the mat, like it's the heaviest and strongest small guy, guy of that size I've ever felt. And I just remember he, like from first grips, him collar dragging me, face planting the mat so hard I didn't remember where I was, and the pressure for the entire rest of the round. I don't think he tapped me until like the last kind of minute of the round, and then he just was like, we didn't carry on rolling after that. That was just him done. But the rest of the round was just him with this insane top pressure, keeping my face buried into the mat. And
you're trying to sand the floor with your face, like.
yeah, like literally. And I just remember like one of those where it was like, well, it was one of those, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But backpacking moments, especially because it was my first gym I trained at after I left Brazil.
Having that good experience as well, coming from that, like you were in a kind of positive mindset. So then you're being sent to this place, and you're like, what's going on here? Like,
yeah, I'll loop back round and tell. I keep saying loop back round today. It seems to be my kind of.
All right, we'll loop back round to that.
Caught in a loop.
We'll loop back round to why you're looping back round.
I'll talk about going the south of Brazil. I'll go back to some of those stories in another time. But yeah, after I left Brazil, like all of my training experiences are somewhat similar to the ones I've already told, where it was a really welcoming, really friendly environment. So after I got to the south of Brazil, I went through Uruguay, and there wasn't really any jiu-jitsu in the places I was there. So Argentina, I went from Uruguay to Argentina by ferry, and that was my first training experience after this wonderful Brazil experience.
You were like telling everybody, Brazil is the Mecca. Did you ever say that?
But did I say? Did I? I might have said it to other backpackers that when it didn't, because like it was always a cool talking point as well when like, because although they thought I was a lunatic, like, you know, hand washing my gi, they'd always be like, who is this guy? It would also be like a kind of, you know, because a lot of backpackers are doing the same sort of thing, same sort of route, and it would give me a kind of unique spin to start conversations. Well, at least I thought it was interesting.
No, it is, mate. It is.
Probably
obviously, we're all into jiu-jitsu, so like people just think all we do is talk about jiu-jitsu. But when you're meeting someone in the backpack, and they're like, "Oh, you do that," and you're like, "What can you do?" But would you get drunk and try and choke people out?
No, I've always strayed away from that. Like, I've a couple of stag do's, you know, with my mates, and you get drunk and piss about, like you were saying about the rolls out on the lawn with that rugby fella.
Oh yeah, you fucking smashed me.
Ended up guillotined, didn't you? Went back to Ireland talking a big game and got put in a front headlock. And
you guillotine me, like. How did he even know how to guillotine me? Like, I don't know I think I shared that story in one of the episodes.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, just grab your head and squeeze.
Yeah, he just squeezed the fuck out of me.
But yeah, I've frankly learnt enough from observation, like, and hearing your anecdotes to mostly stay away from that, mate.
I actually remember when we started just talking about like people being that little bit rough and rolling as white belts. I don't know, was it the beginners class when we did, or was it after the beginners class? But there was this guy who was a bit older than me, and I think it was one of the beginners classes. But I remember him saying to me like, "Sure, this would be no good in a street fight." And like I was like the dude was probably about 45, 46, and I was like, "What the fuck are you on about? Like, what do you mean any good in a street fight? What the fuck are you talking about?" And then I remember when we sparred, because I think we were drilling together, and when we sparred I actually got a belt in the mouth off him, and it just infuriated me so much because I wasn't wearing gum shield at that time because I didn't know to wear a gum shield doing jiu-jitsu. I was like, do you know when you taste that coppery taste in your mouth? I was like,
you made me bleed my own blood.
You made me, I was like that, except like I don't think I had the skills to actually like do anything about it. The two of us just flailed around on the mat together and nobody got submitted. But it's just things like that. Like,
what did he do? Nia or?
I think he kind of more or less punched me in the mouth.
Yeah, he was just
as trying to get out of something, but like with a closed fist. And I was just like, fucking dickhead. Do you know what I mean? I say this is white belt vibes. Like everything that happened at white belt, you can kind of the first few months you can let go. Like, and he doesn't train there at all anymore because I think it was. I think he realised.
Always funny with where we are. We get like foot traffic coming through on the little pedestrianised bit. The people that will sit in. I remember I've been tying my shoes about to leave, and there's been some guys sat in watching, like, you know, the warm up of like a class, right? So where people are shrimping along the mat, and they're like looking at each other like, how is this? Like, they think like this is some sort of secret martial arts technique that we're teaching. It's like, this is the technique. It's like, no, this is the warm up. But they'll look at each other like, how's this useful? And then just walk out. They're
like watching UFC like the fucking weekend before, and watching John Jones guillotine fucking Cyril Gann, and next thing they're going in, yeah, that jiu-jitsu is fucking awesome. Let's go in and see that. And they just see us shrimping and doing forward rolls. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, it's always good. You were saying about talking about the rough roll thing, like the mix, like with guys and girls. Like, obviously, you know, we're quite lucky to have a few female training partners out of our gym, a few that compete with us as well. But obviously, there's a stigma attached to the way that some guys roll with girls, and that is one of those times where there is a significant difference between a tough roll and a rough roll.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, I don't feel comfortable rolling with girls, not to say anything about them, or it's probably more of a reflection on me, to be honest. Like, but it's not to do with like it's male or female. It's just because, like, even rolling with the smaller guys, I'm generally kind of a bit heavier. And then when you're heavier and you add the fact that you are. Yeah, I'm a fat cunt. But when you add the fact that you're a man into it, like, you know, I think like sometimes you might get carried away in a role, and I'd always be afraid of that. And like, I don't want to be thought of as a rough training partner either. And I don't know, it's a real weird one for me. It's just, and then I do see some people rolling with like female training partners and like going a bit hard, and I'm like that's a bit out of sorts. Like, do you know what I mean? If there's two of them the same way and they're giving them a hard roll, I mean, maybe I'm not a woman, so it's not for me to say about these things. But maybe it's the way I was brought up or something. But like, I just think sometimes it looks a bit shit, and
Yeah,
But I'd also wonder, like, we should probably have someone. Sorry to cut across you, but we should probably bring this topic up with have someone here, like a female competitor or someone that trains, to have their view on it, because I mean, two of us talking about how a woman feels.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, this is, before we delve too deep into this, it'd be good to have a female training partner on board.
I mean, don't get me wrong, right? If you were born a biological male and you identify as a female, I'm going to give you a fucking good role. You know what I mean? No, I'm only joking. But I'm just saying, I just feel a little bit uncomfortable in a role with girls, and it's not a reflection of them, and I'm not throwing shade at any of our training partners, like in the gym, or anyone I have rolled with in other gyms either. Like, it's more a thing. I prefer to avoid that issue in my own mind, even though there's probably nothing for me to avoid in their mind. Do you know, that kind of way? And they're probably going, why won't he roll with me? It's, as I say, I can't really.
Yeah, and I saw a thread on Reddit actually the other day where it was saying a female, like, speaking like,
keep calling
a
female.
It was a girl that was saying that she trains at a gym with mostly men, and you know, some of them refuse to roll with her because they say they won't get anything out of it. You know, that it was not a good role for them.
I don't believe that either.
And I think that's bullshit. And I think, like, you know, I'd say almost if you find yourself shying away from rolling with women, or smaller training partners, I think a big part of being a good training partner is having a productive role with whoever your training partner is, and finding, you know, it might be that, you know, you let them work on passing and work on your guard and just play off your back. It might be that there's, you know, you find area, you just, I don't know. That's one thing that I've been working on, trying to work on since, you know, recently, realising that maybe I need to modulate the intensity of my roles a little bit, is like trying to have a productive role with everyone of different levels, and save those rough roles and tough roles for the guys that, you know, give as good as they get. Yeah. But
because I remember, like, when going back to my white belt days again, when I first started in Mat House, there used to be a female class as well at one point, and there was also a girl that used, I can't remember her name now, I'm sorry, but she used to leave her teach classes on a Saturday, and I remember she was teaching our class one Saturday, and it was the first time I think I'd ever rolled with a girl, like, and she's blue belt, and she was she was very good, like, you know, and I was like, oh, in my mind, like, white belt mind's not where I am now. I was like, don't want to roll with this girl, you know what I mean? I'll fuck her up, like, you know, that kind of way. She must have rear naked choked me 3 times in a minute. And that actually that was my it was, like, because you need to have those moments where you see the world for what it is. Like,
jiu-jitsu,
you know?
works.
Yeah,
especially if you're going to be training it, like, especially.
Yeah, it was just it was a learning moment, like, and it was actually something I needed. But fortunately, I was fortunate that it happened at the start. Like, I hadn't a stripe, I hadn't anything, like, so it was very fortunate to happen at the start. And I think maybe a lot of people might have been in my mindset as I was then, that I don't want to roll with a girl, blah blah blah. Like you say, you don't think you're going to get anything out of it. Like, I had nothing. Like, strength didn't matter either, as well, by the way. And that was 96 kilos as well by the time. It wasn't now, like. And she was, I don't know, well, I'm not going to say a girl's weight ever. Not falling into that trap of running my mouth that fast. But no, it's just that was my experience with it, I say, back then.
So yeah, 2 30-year-old white guys take on rolling with women. That's what you get, guys. That's what you get when Tommy Crianche cancels on us. So on that note, Mike, where do people reach us if they want to get in touch?
So all the usual stuff. It's degenbjjpod.com, or not .com. Maybe one day when we're rich and famous, you know what I mean, we can.
Don't hold your breath on that one.
No, it won't be. Especially with the anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go how bad things are trending at the minute. The sinking ship that I'm trying to float. But sorry, Degen BJJ Pod for everything. We have the WhatsApp link there as well. It's actually got a bit of traction there today, which is good. People are actually asking questions, so you can join that. We've also got what was the other thing we're doing? Fucking hell. You can DM us. Sorry. So like, follow, share and subscribe, and in the Spotify link there is a Q&A section. If you do put into that, we will post it and we will answer your questions. Also, go back to the start if you haven't listened from the start, because the few in jokes and other stories that link up together, like Ken's Brazil stories and stuff like that, they'll make more sense if you listen from the start. So
yeah, also wouldn't want this to be your first experience of us or your only experience of us, guys, because
it's a pretty chill episode today.
Yeah, me and Mike have had a day of it, and we've thrown together what we can. So we appreciate all of you that have made it with us to the end here. As always, play it to your nan. The 60+ number is going up, so I know
Ken wants that demographic to go up.
I know you're doing it. I don't know why. I'm not sure.
If you check the WhatsApp chat today, you might know.
You might know. Some hints have been dropped, but yeah. Much love, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Cheers, guys.
Catch you next time.